This is CBC Here and Now.
I know this was preventable. I know that he could have gotten the help had it been provided properly.
By putting them out there on the street, that's basically threw gas on the fire.
It was a violent night, but it followed years of struggle for the man killed by police in Grand Falls, Windsor.
His ex-girlfriend doesn't blame the officers, but does blame years of failure in the healthcare and justice systems.
People aren't going to travel if they're not totally comfortable.
So they're waiting to get their vaccines, let it take effect, and then come on their trips. They don't really have to worry about it.
Now, interest in tourism is picking up, but will tourists actually come here?
Why most operators expect the end of the season to be busier than the start.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Peter Cowan. It was a violent night, one that followed years of struggle. That's how Amanda Antle describes a fatal shooting she witnessed in Grand Falls, Windsor earlier this month.
Her ex-boyfriend, Roy Freake, was killed by police inside her house. Here Now's Garrett Barry has more details on this, but first a warning that his story contains details of a violent crime that some may find disturbing.
The memories haunting.
Then I watched them pull Roy's body out on this plastic thing, and I'll never forget it. The image is burned into my brain.
Some things just can't go away.
The next thing I know, I heard one of the paramedics ask what time it was, and the officer looked at his watch and said 3:39 a.m. and he said, "Okay, we're calling it time of death 3:39 a.m."
2 weeks ago, holding their toddler in her arms, Antle felt her ex-boyfriend threaten her life with steak knives against her neck.
And when I leaned forward, I felt Roy coming back, and that's when I heard the pop.
She calls it a drug-fueled incident that ended when police shot and killed him.
Let's go get Matt.
Today, she doesn't blame the officers. She blames years of failure in the healthcare and justice systems.
No matter where he went, no matter what he did, no matter who he spoke to, no matter who I spoke to with him and argued with, it was like it was a lost cause from the start.
When she heard the glass shatter in her house that night, she already knew it was Roy breaking in. She also knew that he was a shell of who he used to be before a crippling cocaine addiction overpowered him.
I know that wasn't the Roy that I knew and loved. I knew he was not mentally there. It wasn't the Roy that I knew.
Freake struggled to get clean, stretched on and on.
You know, Roy had this crazy idea that after a couple of weeks he was good, when he wasn't. He wasn't good. You know, and I used to tell him, you know, and I used to get mad with him, and I said, you know, talk to me in a couple of years. When you got a couple of years under your belt, not 2 weeks.
He was in and out of court.
Jail seemed like a joke. You know, in one day, out the next.
In and out of hospital, and didn't have a family doctor. He made huge sacrifices to get better.
He stayed in bed for 6 weeks after detox because they told him he had to be 6 weeks clean outside of the detox in order for to be taken into Corner Brook. And he stayed in bed, and I kept saying, "Roy, get up, have something to eat, go for a walk with me." Nope, he said, "If I get out of this bed, I'm going to use."
But Antle says the system let him down.
And they said, "Oh, well, you've done your 6 weeks in your detox." He said, "You're over the hump, you can do it on your own," and hung out. And I was right there alongside him when he made that call because he had it on speaker. And I was absolutely floored.
Freake was prescribed medications that helped him control his behavior, but on the night he was killed, it had been 2 days since he had them. In fact, he was all alone when he was released from the local lockup outside of the police station in Grand Falls, Windsor.
Oh, I said, you wouldn't do this to a dog. You know, I said, you just threw him out. There's no odds about him. And I said, I can't come get him. The last ferry's gone here. He's not getting to the 6 o'clock ferry. I said, how's he getting home? Like I was totally shocked.
Roy couldn't solve that problem. His family says he had the cognitive functioning of a teenager, and they called the decision to release him alone one last letdown.
The system failed him. Failed him bad. Set him up. You know, they basically, by putting him out there on the street, I said, basically threw gas on the fire.
By the next morning, he was dead.
2 brothers are getting buried side by side. I think it's the first for the cemetery and the church and the undertaker. And they're going to be buried behind their grandparents. So it's been tough.
Roy and Amanda were together for 10 years. They had a child together, and he helped raise another.
Oh, he was amazing. I couldn't ask for a better boyfriend. He was so loving. He helped it with the kids, with the dishes. He helped it with the housework. We went on vacation before I had Jack.
Now, she hopes that he's free from his burdens, and that his death and her story will help make some change.
And then there's days that I'm angry because I know this was preventable. I know that he could have gotten the help had it been provided properly. Then there's days that all I can do is cry.
Garrett Barry, CBC News, Grand Falls, Windsor.
Well, in other news now, the city of St. John's is not holding the usual Canada Day celebrations. There'll be no fireworks or in-person events planned for Thursday. The city says it wants residents to reflect about the rights of Indigenous people, but that the decision was also made with COVID restrictions in mind.
We've been working with the urban Indigenous community about developing a better relationship with the local Indigenous people. So part of that was to look at Canada Day as a period for thoughtful reflection and information, for giving people the information they may want in order to consider how we move forward during these difficult times. Individually and collectively, we should be reflecting on Canada Day about the future of our country.
Some other communities have cancelled Canada Day celebrations in response to the discovery of unmarked graves at former residential school sites. Portugal Cove, St. Philip's and Wabana on Bell Island both say July 1st should be a day for reflection.
Well, speaking of July 1st, it is going to be a wet one across most of the island anyway. We're going to see those showers develop through the evening hours on Wednesday and then continue, it looks like, through the day on Thursday. Now, this ridge of high pressure is going to move in and clear things out eventually through the day, but just how quickly that happens is, we need to figure that out over the next, well, at least through tomorrow. We're going to see a little bit of clearing as we get into the evening hours for sure, Thursday night and then into Friday, looking like it'll be fairly nice. But some much needed rain, like I've been talking about for the past little bit. Looks like we're going to see somewhere between 10 to 20 millimeters of rain by Thursday evening through parts of central, significantly less as you head east, but like I said, it will be a little bit rainy. I'll get into all the forecast details when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Memorial University has appointed its first Vice President Indigenous. That's a new senior position. Catherine Anderson from Makovic has served as Special Advisor to the President on Indigenous Affairs since 2015. Now, Anderson says her new position comes with greater influence as she will be part of the senior decision-making body with the university. Her first priority, strengthening Indigenous leadership within Memorial University. Anderson says she's also working on hiring a cluster of Indigenous tenure-track faculty members.
Well, with no conventions or sporting events, urban centres like St. John's have been hit especially hard by pandemic travel restrictions. The mood is slowly changing as the province prepares to open up to the rest of Canada on July 1st. Last night, we brought you to Gros Morne, where tourism is slow. And as Terry Roberts reports in the capital city, it's the same story.
I can't wait for someone else, not you or me, to come here and see this.
It's been ringing. I wouldn't say it's been off the hook, but it's been improving, I must say.
We're really optimistic that we're going to do well post-COVID.
Here's what prospective travelers in Nova Scotia and Ontario and Alberta are seeing on their televisions and social media feeds these days. With non-essential travel from outside Atlantic Canada set to resume on Thursday, and with vaccination rates improving by the day, tourism boosters are hoping iconic sites like these will again be welcoming mainland Canadians very soon.
We're really excited to get back at it and get back to what we like doing, which is hosting.
For 37 years, guides with McCarthy's Party Tours have been showing off this province's beauty and uniqueness to travelers from the rest of Canada. But their last guided tour was October 2019, so they're excited the phone is ringing once again.
It is pretty bustling right now, and I have to tell you that it's an amazing thing to go through a year where the phones don't ring and suddenly to walk in and the phones are ringing and the emails are binging, and there's a lot of interest right now, so we're trying to deal with it.
This city has been welcoming visitors for hundreds of years. A pandemic has kept them away, but signs of recovery are emerging.
By the amount of people who have rebooked for this year, the amount of people who are booking now for 2022, in particular some of these groups of pre-formed groups, then I think we're going to come out of this thing pretty well in the next 2 years.
We really feel that Newfoundland and Labrador is a destination that visitors will want to come to post-COVID, because people want those wide open spaces to be out in nature. They want to be in places where there aren't large crowds, where they feel they can move around.
But with air links still being reinstated and the vaccination drive continuing, July is expected to be a soft month.
So they're waiting to get their vaccines, let it take effect, and then come on their trips. They don't really have to worry about it.
People aren't going to travel if they're not totally comfortable. And I think people will have a higher degree of comfort when they have 2 vaccinations.
Certainly, we're hoping August and September will be 2 strong months for us.
With the first wave of visitors expected to be expatriates, eager to reconnect with their families and hometowns. Here at the Jag Hotel, a major expansion is underway, and John Steele believes it will pay off.
Human nature doesn't change. People want social interaction. People want to travel.
But there is a concern, filling the jobs as the tourism industry rebounds.
So you're hiring?
Yes.
So if someone's looking for a job,
come on down.
Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
So what's the province going to do to boost tourism? I'll talk to the minister responsible. That's coming up a little later on tonight's Here and Now. Well, speaking of bringing in revenue to the province, Walt Disney Pictures will be making part of an upcoming movie here. Peter Pan and Wendy is set to premiere on Disney+. One of the stars includes Jude Law. Filming of some scenes will take place throughout August in several locations around the island. The province is contributing up to $3 million, part of a rebate for eligible production costs. Government officials believe the expected benefit to the province will be about $9 million. The government says these sorts of rebates are needed to compete with other places.
It's putting us on a level playing field with every other jurisdiction out there. If you do research around what other jurisdictions in Canada and around the world are doing, California has all kinds of these subsidies and programs to keep that industry there. It's an industry that's out there looking for this type of program, and we're more than happy to be there and start to being competitive and attract these shows.
Well, Premier Andrew Furey and some of his senior cabinet ministers took to the soccer field today to promote the government's new physical fitness tax credit. With the physical activity tax credit, families can claim up to $2,000 on next year's tax return to help cover the cost of sport and recreation registration and membership fees.
Our government really understands the importance of health, and we've set the target to be one of the healthiest, if not the healthiest province in the country by 2031. Of course, that is going to require a lot of hard work, because right now, let's be honest, we're one of the worst in the country. So we need to make sure that we are putting in place the incentives, like the physical activity tax credit, to ensure that families, individuals of all ages, have the ability to and the affordability to partake in physical activity.
Elizabeth Panashaway is a respected Inuit elder from Labrador, and over the years she has shared her passion for her culture, and she's shown her activism through things such as her annual walks through the bush. But through it all, Elizabeth has primarily been a teacher. Northwest River celebrated National Indigenous Peoples Day last week with music and dancing outside the Labrador Interpretation Centre. Elizabeth was there with a new lesson, not to contradict the Premier about fitness, but her lesson was about how to make Inuit donuts, which I highly recommend. She showed Labrador Morning's Leslie Amundsen how it's done.
Don't put too much flour. Your bread is now a bit stuck. Yeah. Okay. See?
All the way around?
Yeah. Okay, close it, go like this, close it, like this. Okay, now put a little bit flour, and then, did you put flour on your hand?
I did, yeah.
Okay, okay, like this, like this. Okay, now, make a hole. Yeah. And try to take a flour like this, like this. Okay. Now you can put in the pan. Oh, dat is wel. People ask me, a lot of people loves my donut. I watch my mom so many years when I was young. My mom always make a bread, and my mom always make donuts. That's what I learned. And I said to myself, and I will never forget, I want to do it. And I don't know how many years, I still do. When I make donuts, flour, raisins, baking powder, brown sugar, molasses, and then water.
What does it mean to you to have people here eating your donuts and enjoying some time together on a day like today?
I'm so happy, I'm so proud. I'm thinking, oh my God, everybody loves my donuts. So happy, very happy. Yeah.
And do you, have you taught your children and grandchildren to keep making them as well?
I teach him. I hope she's gonna make it.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I teach people, maybe he forgot what I'm doing. And then she said, people, no, it's not the same like Elizabeth Nazareth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's concerning. We've known going into this season there were going to be many challenges still faced by the operators.
Even as the province opens up, tourism operators say bookings are down. So what is the province going to do to help the industry? My chat with the minister responsible coming up after the weather.
Well, it's deceivingly cold out there today. Lots of sunshine, but where are those nice mild temperatures? Well, they're in parts of the province, but I will get into all the details when I come back.
Well, before we get to the weather, a quick clarification about the National War Memorial story that we reported on yesterday's program. We said that when it was unveiled in 1924, it was designed to mark the Battle of Beaumont Hamel. Well, the memorial, in fact, marks the contributions of all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, as well as contributions from the Navy, the regiment, the fishery, as well as forestry during the First World War. And the confusion comes from the fact that the July 1st was the unveiling date back in 1924, and that was chosen specifically to mark the deadly battle and the regiment.
Actually, it was a nice sunny day here in St. John's. Pretty warm, but absolutely nothing compared to out west, where their temperatures, like, we could double ours and it would still be cooler than what they're dealing with. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. We talked about Lytton, BC. I misspoke yesterday and pronounced that differently, but we talked about that yesterday and how warm it was. We broke a record. Let's take a look at the numbers. So we broke the they broke the all-time record on June 27th of 46.6, and then again yesterday, 47.9 degrees is what Lytton, BC reached. Just incredible heat. And if you take a look at the heat again across the province, or across the country rather, we're still seeing all of that heat in the west coast thanks to that heat dome. That's now moved over Alberta. So a number of areas seeing those temperatures into the high 30s. Edmonton, Calgary, 32, 35 degrees so far today. And again, you're still only around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you still do have some of that daytime heating. Quite the opposite. We talked about that frost warning last night. The frost was actually a little bit further outside of that warning into around Terra Nova, reached about 3 degrees last night. But the temperatures today, 12 degrees in St. John's. It was nice in the sun, but outside of that, not too nice. Into and through the central regions, 20 in Gander, 23 in Deer Lake, 24 was the afternoon high in Corner Brook today. Those temperatures have dropped a little bit down to 11 degrees in St. John's, 19 in Corner Brook, and still seeing those temperatures around 18 degrees for Happy Valley Goose Bay. So we do have an area of high pressure that's moving south, and we saw some cloud cover move in today. A few showers developing as well around Bonavista North, and then into and around the southern portion of the island as well. That's generally going to continue as we head through the overnight tonight. We're going to start to see that onshore flow again for the south coast, so periods of drizzle and fog certainly possible for you. And even some lightning activity up across Labrador as well. That's heading towards central Labrador right now. The risk of some lightning also for the southeast. It may die out before it gets there, but that risk will still be there tonight. And eventually the northern peninsula and along the northeast coast, you're going to see that chance of showers along with the west coast of the island as we get into the early morning hours on Wednesday. Other than that, quiet night tonight. We're looking at temperatures back down into the single digits across the Avalon, 7 degrees in St. John's. Some low-lying areas may dip a little bit lower than that, so there is a risk we could see some frost, patchy frost at best. But if you do have those frost-sensitive plants, I would suggest wrapping them up tonight. 11 degrees in Gander, 13 tonight in Corner Brook, and then again, that potential for some thunderstorms for central and southeastern portions of Labrador. Your temperature in Cartwright tonight going down to 8 degrees. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit unsettled for most of the island. We're going to see some sunshine to start, at least for the east, but increasing cloud will be the story through the day, and then that risk of showers will move in right across the board west of the Avalon through the day. Clearing out quite nicely across Labrador, some sunshine, maybe a few showers along the strait, but other than that, it'll be a fairly quiet day. Some more substantial showers will move in again Wednesday night and into the first half of Thursday as well. So temperatures tomorrow going to sit around 21 degrees for St. John's, some light winds as well. And then as you head towards Clarenville, Bonavista area, you're going to see that the clouds on the increase through the day, or mainly cloudy through the day, with that chance of showers. Same thing as you head towards central, but temperatures will be warmer. So 22 degrees for Terra Nova, same thing for Gander. 23 in Grand Falls, Windsor. And then again, those temperatures in the teens along the south coast thanks to that onshore flow. And then for the west coast, you're looking at temperatures reaching the 20s as well. Your winds will be out of the northwest, about 10 to 15 kilometers per hour. And then as we head towards the northern peninsula, you're looking at your temperatures a little bit cooler into the teens through the day, should stay cloudy. And again, that chance of showers later on in the evening for areas around St. Anthony. You'll see some showers in the morning and then likely stay cloudy through the day, and then some more showers will develop into the afternoon. And then for Labrador, staying mainly cloudy for Mary's Harbour. A little bit further north, you should actually see some sunshine through the day. Your winds will be out of the north 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And then the further north you get, the more sunshine you'll get into. So Makkovik, 6 degrees. Nain, you should reach the double digits tomorrow. Temperatures around 16 for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and then 19 for Lab City. And again, you'll see generally the chance of showers through the day with sun and cloud for the rest of the Big Land. So that's a look at tomorrow's forecast. Looking ahead, like I said, it's going to be a little bit wet. We'll get into more of those details and then the rest of the weekend when I come back.
Well, we're just a couple days away from the borders reopening to Newfoundland and Labrador, and there's some worry from tourism operators about whether the tourists will be ready to come. Well, what does the tourism minister think? Let's find out. Steve Crocker, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Peter. Thank you.
So, we've heard from operators who've said their bookings are lower this year than they were last year. How concerning is that for you?
Yeah, it's concerning. We've known going into this season there were going to be many challenges still faced by the operators in our province, and it's evident from what we heard from the industry in the PAC report from the Premier's Advisory Council on Tourism. They talked about this year being in the $250 million range, which would have been normally, 1.12 billion. So we know there are going to be challenges this year. That's why we continued on with the Tourism and Hospitality Support Program. We're looking for ways to market ourselves differently. We're playing our staycation program again this year. I know there's some concerns about are people going to stay this year, but we're seeing some promising things. We've seen PAL yesterday just open up a direct flight or a flight from Deer Lake to Fredericton. So we want to open up as many markets as we can, knowing it's going to be challenging, but we plan on keeping the supports for the industry in place.
Let's talk about promotion for the industry, because one of the key things is letting people know that we are open again and tourists are welcome. So how big is the push this year compared to a regular year when it comes to promoting this province to the rest of the country?
Yeah, I think we changed our focus a lot this year, and even last year, obviously, because last year it was a stay-at-home campaign. This year we're continuing on with that campaign. We're also into an Atlantic Canadian campaign, and we're in our traditional markets, our Ontarios and Alberta as well, as two of our larger customers. So our marketing is getting in there. We had our marketing campaign going throughout the winter and early spring. Just our Stay Curious campaign, asking people to do that, just that, stay curious. Because we know we got to get people back into our market to help provide the success that we need. And going forward, knowing that this won't be as good a year as we've seen or as good a year as we hope to see. But there's a lot of work to be done.
How much damage do you think has been done, though, about the message that we've heard over the last year and a half, which has been stay away from Newfoundland and Labrador, we don't want you to come. People have made plans, even the, July 1st, is it going to open, August 15th, are those dates going to be met? There's a lot of uncertainty. How much do you think this has damaged, the ability to get people to make bookings?
I think that damage is just not here. So that damage is worldwide, and it's something that we're going to.
But most other provinces haven't had a ban on travel. Places like BC or Alberta or Manitoba, you could still go even last year.
Yeah, fair. But we've balanced in this province, and we've been very successful with COVID. And one of the things, some of our success we're seeing now in different industries or different parts of the industry, is the fact that we have been so COVID-free. Right, so you can take a comfort of coming here. We will work with our operators. We've worked closely with Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, the tourism boards, to make sure that we're getting in, to make sure that we can rebuild those markets.
How worried are you about the long-term damage? People who may, after 2 years of pretty disappointing returns, say, you know what, my debt's too big, it's not worth it, and I'm just going to have to shut down.
Yeah, we heard quite clearly from operators going into the lead up to the Together Again plan. If they didn't get reopened this summer and reopened by July the 1st, we would see some serious losses. We've seen about a 10 to 11% loss last year, which is very unfortunate because we had an industry that was doing so well pre-COVID. And we understand the importance of this industry to our province. We see it's grown from an $800 million industry, I think, in 2015. Up to a $1.2 billion industry pre-COVID, and we got to get back there. And as important as to get back there, we got to get back on that growth trajectory.
So what are your summer plans? Any big travel?
Yeah, actually I'm going to spend some time this coming week, hopefully on the Northern Peninsula, and meet with some operators and hear those concerns that you're hearing, because we're hearing them as well. So we want to make sure we're there for our operators and the supports that they need this year, and even looking going into the fall, into early next season, to make sure that we're promoting Newfoundland and Labrador to the people out there. And listen, we're really looking forward to a big push for Come Home Year 2022.
Minister, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for the opportunity, Peter.
Access might be prohibited, but nothing's actually happening to stop people from getting into this place. Coming up on Here and Now, this old fish plant in Admiral's Beach is an eyesore, and the government hasn't gotten rid of it. Welcome back to Here and Now. I'm at Admiral's Beach, and joining me now are the mayor of this community, Teresa Bungay, as well as Councillor Agnes O'Brien. So you're the mayor. What is this thing behind us?
This is an abandoned fish plant, as you can tell, in state of disrepair.
And how long has it been here?
It's been here since the 70s, and it's been abandoned now since the early 90s.
All right, so that's more than 2 decades.
That's correct.
All right, so why hasn't something been done?
Prior councils have been trying to get something done about it, every council that I'm aware of in the past, and ownership has always been an issue. We had our MHA involved in this and letters to different members of government and Liberal government, PC government, everybody, opposition, everybody got a letter from us, believe me. So anyways, after that, it was taken to, our MHA took it to Cabinet, and we had found a deed of conveying the plant to the former owner for $1. So as a result of this, when she took it to Cabinet, Department of Fisheries claimed ownership. So we figured then, my gosh, you know, something was going to be done about it. But obviously not. But in their wisdom, they came out and erected a security fence around here, which you can get in around, and people are going in about it every other day. And some signs saying hazardous materials and blah, blah, blah. So we're still waiting for an answer.
So through the jigs and the reels, this is the property of the provincial government, the Department
Right
of Fisheries.
now, it is, yes,
All right.
to the best of my knowledge, yes, it is.
All right. Now, Councillor O'Brien, what do you make of the impact this has on the community?
It's absolutely horrific. One of the things, people in the community are questioning whether we're really doing anything about it or whether we're really trying to get something done. And Council has been working diligently to try and get it done. And complaints from people that are trying to sell their property. It's affecting people's morale in the community, and it's affecting the sale.
What impact does this have on morale in the community?
Because they look at it and they think there's nothing being done. There's nothing being done. You can't, like, we can request for people to tidy town, keep your properties clean, and they bring it back to us. Look at what you got down under the hill.
Right. So you'll never get the recognition because the rest of the community is very, very pretty, right?
Yeah.
But then there's this.
But then there's this.
Right. What would you like to see happen here? I have to say, when I drove over the hill and saw it, that's the first time I've seen it. It's quite shocking.
It is shocking. I tell you now, like we have a harbour authority here, and they're trying to do something here with our harbour, try to get it dredged. They have secured funding from Small Crafts and Harbours. I think that's the government to dredge out the pool there, and try to put a proper dock here for small boat owners and anyone to come and enjoy. I mean, tourists come, want to go out kayaking or whatever, and they can't do anything because the plant is a problem there. It's falling into the pool.
Right. So it doesn't just affect what Councillor
It's
O'Brien
affecting
said. It's the development.
everything here. We can't, you know, tourism. I mean, people come here. They want to go out in a boat, get someone to take them across to the Colonel Islands. We have beautiful islands over there, and you can't do anything like that here.
Yeah, it's
hard
impossible to imagine tourism developing in the shadow.
Yeah, you know, there could be boat tours. There's so many things that could happen here. But
You've lived here all your life, right?
I've lived here all my life. I relocated from Colonel Island with my parents back in '58.
How do you feel when you look behind you and see this thing still standing?
It's an embarrassment, and I feel really bad. And like Agnes mentioned, you know, for the people here, I mean, like, I'm so tired of putting out newsletters and telling the residents, like, you know, we're really trying, but it's the same old story. You know, we can't get anywhere with this.
Well, listen, I'll be asking the government some questions because I know there was a report about what was dangerous in there, and there was a price tag.
Yes, a hefty price tag.
Yeah, $700,000 or so at the time. So we'll try to get some answers. But thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for coming out.
When I was mentioning, we did contact the Department of Fisheries, Forestry and Agriculture. It's responsible for that crumbling building you saw there. And in a statement, the department says it has been monitoring the condition of the Admiral's Cove fish plant, and it says there's signage and security fencing around the rubble until funding is secured and the area is cleared. But I can tell you that when I was there around the back of that collapsed plant, there's absolutely nothing to stop people from going inside there.
In the steady beat of a drum, Samantha Newman hears more than a song. She hears strength and control. She's been drumming for more than half her life, and she says it keeps her connected to her culture. In honor of National Indigenous Peoples Month, we've been sharing videos from the Labrador Friendship Centre and the Shield Project. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Samantha, 15 years old, and I live in Happy Valley Goose Bay, Newfoundland and Labrador. I've lived here my entire life. I live here with my mom, dad, and brothers. I was introduced to drum dancing by an Inuit group who was teaching kids about drum dancing. I was 7 years old. A year later on Christmas, I was given my very own drum, crafted by an elder in Hopedale. I'm tightening up the drum. You put the stick right here, and then you fold the material over, and then you take the material and move the stick with it. This makes the middle part tighter, and it creates more of a drum sound. Drums like mine are used to tell stories. Now, there will be two people to a group. One person would be drumming and one would be telling a story. The drummer traditionally aids the storyteller in telling a story. In the drum dancing program, I have learned about my culture, along with being able to perform at events like a senior Christmas party and for Inuit members and ministers. Drums like mine are used when performing along with wearing traditional clothes that's typically homemade. Inuit people first used drumming in a different way compared to drumming in more recent generations. It used to be two people, a storyteller and a dancer. The drum was used as an aid to add to what the storyteller was talking about. Drum dancing to me is about telling a story. It's about showing your creativity, moving, and creating a song. Drum dancing to me symbolizes taking back control where you thought you lost it in your life. It brings back strength.
Many people may be firing up the barbecue this long weekend, but a CBC News investigation has found that a recent crackdown on apartment barbecues in Prince Edward Island netted a high number of violations.
Well, despite the fire risks, rules vary depending on where you live in Atlantic Canada. For example, there's no provincial ban in our province. The CBC's Sally Pitt has more.
Started in landscaping mulch around the building, but fire overtook this Charlottetown apartment building when it connected with a barbecue propane tank on a balcony.
And I heard the explosion, so I woke up and looked out my windows and I couldn't see a thing. The flames were right up to the ceiling.
Officials say it was lucky everyone got out. The building was destroyed, leaving 52 people homeless. And fire officials across the province went on an inspection blitz. According to records obtained through Freedom of Information, plenty of compliance orders were handed out as a result. In Charlottetown alone, owners of 53 apartment buildings were ordered to remove the barbecues, as were another 91 building owners in 4 other major centres. Charlottetown's fire inspector was surprised by the numbers.
And of course, some like to have their barbecues on their deck, and that's understandable, but the code is the code. It's the safety of the occupants, the other remaining occupants within the facility.
In PEI in New Brunswick, barbecues are banned from balconies and within 3 meters of an apartment building. In Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Labrador, there are no provincial bans, but specific municipalities, landlords, or insurance companies can ban them. There's no ban on mulch either, but it's recommended it be kept at least half a meter from a building in PEI and a meter in New Brunswick. A new 4-story building has replaced the one that burned down. By code, it has a sprinkler system. The company took the extra precaution of installing sprinklers on the balconies and replacing the mulch with small landscaping stones. As for Griffin, he says he's happy he's in his new apartment right next to his old one. He's also happy to see the barbecues are gone. Sally Pitt, CBC News, Charlottetown.
Shifting to COVID news, a study out of the UK suggests that mixing Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccines provides a strong immune response against the virus. Led by Oxford, researchers are exploring the use of different combinations of approved vaccines, and one expert agrees that all of the combinations seem to work, but some of them are just a bit better than others.
That's the take-home point, right? Whether you've mixed and matched, whether you received Pfizer, whether you received AstraZeneca, they all have a very robust immune response, and you're all afforded significant protection against the virus. And that's the key thing.
Though not yet peer-reviewed, the study offers some support for Canada's decision to allow various approved vaccines to be used interchangeably in certain situations. The research also did not conclude that mixing vaccines necessarily produced a better response. The highest antibody response was seen in people being fully vaccinated with Pfizer. Welcome back. That sweltering heat wave blanketing Western Canada has turned deadly. In the last 24 hours, Mounties in Burnaby, BC received 25 sudden death calls, and they believe that heat was a contributing factor to most of those cases. The Surrey detachment marked 28 sudden deaths. Now, it's just as hot in the prairies, with Alberta the country's hotspot today. And as CBC's Paige Parsons reports, it's hitting vulnerable Albertans especially hard.
Handing out water and bananas in central Edmonton, this outreach worker took a day off her job to try to help those who have no place to shelter from the heat.
There's going to be a lot of people and going to be ending up in the hospital and being really, really sick from this because some of them don't know how to look after themselves.
With temperatures in the high 30s across many parts of the province, Alberta is Canada's hotspot today, putting pressure on the vulnerable, the elderly, and the very young. Many Edmonton homes don't have air conditioners, leaving parents scrambling to find ways to keep kids cool.
We hibernate in the basement because it's a little cooler down there, and we are trying to survive with our stand fan.
This mom has been driving all over the city looking for a fan for her son with no luck. She stays up during the night, trying to keep him cool with cold towels.
There's only so much I can do to try and keep him cool because we don't have central air, we don't have AC, and we currently don't have any fans.
In rural Alberta, farmers are feeling the heat as their crops are pushed into survival mode.
So what it means in the long run is a yield that's not going to be up to our average. In fact, it could be way below the average in a lot of areas.
Livestock are having trouble keeping cool as well.
So pigs don't sweat. So we need to really make sure that they have a lot of mud and it's actually a natural sunscreen.
The warnings to hydrate, cover up with sunscreen and hats, and seek shade are expected to last through the week. Alberta is expected to break more high temperature records before finally getting some relief Friday. Paige Parsons, CBC News, Edmonton.
People in BC are scrambling to find anywhere cool in severe heat wave. It's gripping all of Western Canada. This was the lineup yesterday outside the Hotel Vancouver. It's air-conditioned, something in very high demand right now. Just 40% of homes in BC have air conditioning. A popular hotel booking website says 97% of rooms in Vancouver are unavailable until at least tomorrow. And Ashley, I guess we can just be thankful that it is not nearly so hot here, and anyone who's complaining it was a little cool today, I think can probably be grateful that we will take this over what they're dealing with.
Yeah, for sure. And in that piece a little bit earlier, they mentioned that Alberta was the hotspot. But again, just check those obs again, 2 p.m. It was 45 degrees in Lytton, BC. So
I can't even imagine what 45 degrees feels like.
No, and I don't really want to be completely honest. But as we get into Thursday, we are definitely not dealing with those temperatures because it's going to cool down again, and we can thank northeasterlies for that. And you know what that means. Back down to cool temperatures. Let's take a look at the long-range outlook. This takes us through Thursday. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, it is going to be generally a rainy day for most of us. We may see some clearing skies, or at least some of that rain ending as we get into Thursday night, as that ridge of high pressure will move in. But you see those wind barbs there, the northerly component winds, and that is going to cool those temperatures down through the day on Thursday. And then by Friday, as that ridge of high pressure moves in, we're going to see a wind shift. So we actually should see those temperatures climb up through the day on Friday. Likely going to see a mix of sun and cloud, but we'll probably see some cloudy periods. And then another area of low pressure will move to the south. Looks like we'll see some showers overnight Friday into Saturday, and then eventually clearing into Saturday afternoon. So there's your temperatures, 9, 10, 11 degrees as the daytime highs. That's where we should be sitting as our overnight lows. Never mind daytime highs. 14 degrees in Corner Brook, it looks like, for Thursday. Beautiful, though, across the Big Land. 18 degrees for Lab City, 16 in Happy Valley Goose Bay, relatively speaking, with that chance of, or rather the mix of sun and cloud through the afternoon. As we get into Friday, I'm going to start to bump up those temperatures a little bit, 17 to 18 degrees through Central. Going to hang on to those cool temperatures, though, the further east we go. About 12 degrees will be the afternoon high, it looks like, on Friday for St. John's. And then across the Big Land, beautiful Friday on tap, 22 degrees in Happy Valley Goose Bay, 20 in Lab City, and then 14 degrees for Nain. You're looking at a mix of sun and cloud through the afternoon. So a beautiful start to the weekend. Then we get into the long-range forecast. So temperatures look like they will stay cool for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. Again, we could see that shower activity in the morning on Saturday, but then staying cloudy through the day, 15 degrees, and then into Sunday, keeping that temperature around 17 degrees as the daytime high, and a return of a chance of some showers. Now, for central Newfoundland, I'm putting sunshine in for now for Friday. Saturday looking a little cloudy, but your temperatures are going to climb as we get into Sunday. So back up into the 20s, but the overnight lows are still going to stay quite cool. Certainly Friday night down into the single digits again. That risk of frost will likely be in play. And then for the West Coast, you're looking at sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at this point, and temperatures slowly climbing. So not too bad for the weekend. And then for eastern Labrador, sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Beautiful. Temperatures into the 20s and overnight lows into the double digits. And then same thing for western Labrador. So looking pretty nice. The return of the chance of some showers will move in as we get into Sunday. Wanted to share this photo. A beautiful shot of some lupins in Hillview. Heather Gooby shared that one with us. And if you have any weather photos to share with us, send to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
It is lupin season, and that is perfect for going out, grabbing your camera. Beautiful, colorful hillsides everywhere.
Gorgeous, yeah.
Hopefully some more people go out, take a few more lupin pics, and send them in to us.
That's right.
Lots out there, that's for sure.
Can't get enough.
Yeah. So I want to mention two things. One on the weather, of the heat in the west coast of Canada. I'd mentioned earlier when I was off salmon fishing that the rivers were really low, but I was
not
checking
salmon catching.
Casting. I was doing my part for salmon conservation, Cowan.
That's right.
Anyhow,
they were very safe.
The rivers were really, really low.
Yeah.
But I was checking there, Ashley had mentioned the rain they received on the west coast, so the rivers are back up in a lot of places, so that's great news for the fish. And not so good news for me. But anyhow, it's great to hear that the rivers on the west coast are back up a bit. So
yeah, that rain, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Peter, I want to ask you a question. A lot of people wondering that they should be able to go online to check out what their vaccination status is. Can you give us a status update on that?
Yeah, the province was supposed to launch this website on Monday, so you could go online, enter things like your MCP number, and you could then have something to actually print off in case you're traveling or you need to show someone what your vaccination status is, especially if you've lost that sheet that they gave you at the vaccination clinic.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to launch on Monday. It's still not online. The latest update I just got from government is that they're expecting tomorrow morning this will finally be available. So good timing with July 1st for people who maybe need to check their status and get a proof of that before they come back to the province, or people who are planning a trip and heading elsewhere. So
perfect. All right, we'll keep our eyes on that. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.